Labeling all the pieces is really important because otherwise, yeah, it could be near impossible to reassemble the three-dimensional jigsaw puzzle. So here's the view. I'm on the y-axis and I colored it green so I'd know that I'm on the y. Each one of the pieces with the cutout notch from the Boolean split is arranged, like the first piece goes here, second piece, third piece, etc. And then putting a label on, because remember you've got 13 pieces because there's 12 spaces in the grid. So there's a font that you're going to need to use, and it's a single stroke font, and you want to use a single stroke font because then the laser cutter will just engrave a very clean, nice little label on it. Okay, and it's called text object. So text object is when you just want to put text on one. Now the font that I've got, you probably have to download it. It's free, but it's called MechSoft font, and it's for engraving. It's a single stroke font. If you use another font, it's going to be adding a lot of time to your laser cutting, and it's going to cost a lot more money. It looks kind of weird, but basically if I say Y13, okay, and I've got my font is I've set it to 1/4 inch in height, and I've got allow single stroke font selected and then curves. Okay, and then I just pop it in where I want, and that's it. So now I've got all these pieces numbered. It gets a bit confusing when you've got all your X pieces and all your Y pieces. Yeah, it gets confusing. Anyway, so to export this as an Illustrator file, all I need to do is select only the pieces I want to go to Illustrator, and then I just export selected. And then the file type I'm going to export is going to be Adobe Illustrator. And I'm going to call it, actually it was Y. Grid. I'll just call it a grid. Or no, I'm going to call it a waffle. My Y waffle pieces. And that's it. I just save that. Then that gets opened up in Illustrator. And then you're going to have to do all your prep for laser cutting. Set the stroke width to 0.1, and you're going to follow all the rules. For red are going to be the cut lines, blue will be engraved lines, etc. And that is how you do it. And then hopefully, you know, there may be a lot of problems along the way. It may take you a while to get everything figured out, but it's a really good thing to learn, because you can start to open up all kinds of forms that you can make, all kinds of organic forms that can be made using this method. So just hit save, and remember to preserve the scale. So 1 inch equals 1 inch, preserve model scale. That's really important. And your color space is important. It has to be RGB. And then that's it. You're gonna, at that point, you're gonna open up that file in Illustrator. You're gonna have to work with the artboard. If you open it up and you don't see anything, then you have to zoom out, and probably there's a good chance that this line art will be like way over, you know. So there's a lot of registration issues, but the artwork will be in there. You're gonna have to dig around to find it. And the labels should be there too. And it's ready to laser cut after you do all your prep in Illustrator. And I'm not gonna go through that in the tutorial. It's something you learned in Project 2. Okay, so that's it. Now you should be able to make all kinds of really very elaborate kind of forms using laser cutting. And keep in mind that I showed you the grid method, but you can slice your models on any dimension. Like you could make something that looks very different using the same technique. So it's there, like the demo that I showed you, you don't have to do it exactly the way I showed it to you. The demo is a grid because it's sort of a generic design thing, making grids, but you can use it any way you want. There's a lot of room there for experimentation.